friends, welcome to another video. My name is Kelsey Ann and I put together motherhood and homemaking videos on this channel. This is part 2, and if you have not seen the Purge Process part 1, I would encourage you to go check that out because there will be 15 reasons that I list for you to consider getting rid of certain items in your wardrobe, and this video is going to be built on that one. So if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out and we'll get started on part 2. So for this video, I have a few pieces of clothing that I'm going to walk through just how I've practically applied the purge process and using the list of reasons that I gave in the previous video. Just how my mindset as far as how I made those decisions and what I chose to let go of. But first, before we get into that, I'm going to be basically explaining what I call the purge process. It's basically how I go through figuring out what clothes I'm going to hang on to and what I'm going to get rid of. The reasons that I gave in the previous video are all part of it, but that's not the whole process. So the idea with the purge process, my goal is for it to be a somewhat ruthless, no-nonsense guide to going through your wardrobe and just, as I've mentioned in the previous video, if you're looking to be more minimal, simplistic in your wardrobe, if you are wanting to declutter and just kind of clean out your closet, then this should be a good guide for helping you do that. So if that's kind of what you're looking for, get ready to look through everything with new eyes. Be open to something new. This is a process that does take a while. Like anytime you start getting into the world of decluttering and being more willing to let go, it takes time and you will get better at it as you go. But it takes time to kind of assess what you need in your life and what you don't. A great way to start is with these tips that I'm going to give you and the reasons that were in the previous video. So I've got a few things that I'm going to go through with you all. We are going to be dividing your clothes into 3 categories. So first, what I want you to do is to go into your closet, your wardrobe, wherever you keep your clothes, and you're going to look into it and pull out not everything that you want to get rid of. I want you to pull out everything that you love. So the items of clothing that you know you wear all the time, you love them, you look good in them, pull those out and set them aside. That is going to be category number 1. So then you have 2 more categories that we're going to make, and it's going to be pretty subjective as far as how you're going to put clothes into these different categories. Kind of the idea I have in mind here is for category number 2, you're going to put the clothes that you like, but they didn't quite make the love category. So you don't love them, but you think you probably want to hang on to them. You're going to put them in that category. And then the 3rd category, those are the clothes that you aren't quite so sure about. So they didn't make it into the 2nd category, and they definitely didn't make it into the love category. Those clothes we are going to actually set aside. So right now, we are left with category number 2. So with the items of clothes in category number 2, I want you to go through the list of reasons that I named in the first video and just walk through each item of clothing as far as how they compare, how they measure up, and you're going to go through each item of clothing asking these questions. Again, that video, I'll link it in the description below, so if you want to go check that out if you haven't yet, that would be really helpful. But I want you to walk through those with those items of clothing, and this is where you're really going to apply where they fall into each category, if they have a category at all. Once you're done with that, it'll be pretty evident what you've decided to get rid of and what you've decided to hold on to. So all the stuff that are for sure giveaways, you're going to set those aside. You can decide how you're going to deal with them later as far as if you want to give them to a thrift store or to a friend or whatever. Just set those aside for now. And you're going to look at what's left. And I want to look at the 3rd category, the items that you just don't really care about that much. And these items of clothes, if you're thinking that I'm going to tell you to just get rid of them all, I mean, you're kind of partially right, because I think if they did not make the like category, if they didn't make the category of clothes that you know without a shadow of a doubt that you love, consider why do you think they didn't make it into those categories? Like, why did you not pick them out? Now that you're left with these pieces of clothing, I don't want you to feel like you just have to check them all right off the bat. That may be kind of difficult if you're really still not sure about some of them and you're second guessing yourself as far as which category they should have been put into, and that's fine. So here are a couple things that I want you to consider as you look at these pieces of clothing. I want you to take your time. Don't worry about trying to get it all done right away. You need to take your time, because this is something that takes a lot of thought in figuring out what works well with your style and what you actually like. Sometimes, like me, you're still kind of figuring out what your style is, because maybe you didn't have one or maybe it changed. So take your time to figure that out. When I was considering what clothes to get rid of, and I kind of was in that mode, how you get like, I don't know, I've been in that mode for a while, but I just really eager to get rid of stuff. I would be like in the bathroom brushing my teeth, and I'd wander into my closet and just look around and take my time and think about, okay, there's a piece of clothing I haven't considered. Maybe I want to think about getting rid of that, or I haven't worn this very often. Sometimes I'd be in there rocking the baby and I'd just be looking around. Like, take your time. Don't worry about having this perfect time where you're going to set aside to get rid of clothes. Use moments throughout your day to kind of look at it with new eyes and just consider what maybe needs to go, or at least what needs to be taken into consideration. And you're also going to be revisiting it often. You may be as ruthless as you can and feel like you're just going through so much and getting rid of so much, and you will really surprise yourself as you get kind of in a rhythm how much easier it gets to get rid of items. So it's going to take several cycles, I guess you could say, of going through again and again, and you're just always going to be reevaluating what's working for you and what's not. So I want to walk through a few of these reasons that I previously mentioned. I'm just going to show you a few pieces of my clothing that I got rid of and just explain to you which one of those reasons applied. I won't go through every item on the list, but just a few so you can kind of get the idea of what we're going for here. Okay, so I'm going to show you this skirt here. I've held on to it for a long time. It's a big, long maxi skirt. This one is just so comfortable. It's really soft and stretchy. It's in good shape. I don't even remember how I ended up with it. For one thing though, the colors were not quite my style, like the bright, the vivid colors on this skirt. But the main reason that I let it go was because I had several maxi skirts and they just were not really fitting into my lifestyle anymore. My goal with dressing a certain way is to dress sort of classically, and I'm not 100% against all the trends and stuff, but I don't tend to like following trends if I can help it. But maxi skirts have been a thing, and then I don't know, they've probably kind of gone at this point. But this just wasn't something that I wore very often, and it didn't really seem like a good church skirt, and it wasn't really something I wore throughout the day, so I let it go. I will say though, as you're looking to get rid of these items of clothing, it does not mean trash them unless they're in really bad shape. And it doesn't always mean give them to the thrift store either. Sometimes you can repurpose them. So I repurposed this when I was pregnant, and it wrapped around my belly very nicely. So remember, repurpose. Okay, this one is very subjective. Is it appropriate for your age? This skirt I got at a thrift store for like $3. I think it's really cute, but I'm a little taller than most women, and having this shorter skirt just looked young to me. Whenever I wore it, different ways I styled it, I just always felt young in it. So there were times that I kind of felt like I pulled it off, but for the most part, it just wasn't working for me anymore, and I just didn't feel like it was a good piece to have in my wardrobe anymore. Okay, color and style is something I want to camp on for a little bit. In the future, I'm hoping to do a video or two about finding the right colors and styles for your skin tones, your undertones, and finding the right styles for your body type, figuring out body type. It's super exciting. If you haven't done that yet, do a little bit of research. It's very interesting, as well as figuring out what your undertones are, what colors look good on you. But this really is going to help you in determining what looks good on you. Sometimes you've got something on, you're like, I just can't put my finger on it. It just doesn't look right. A lot of times that has to do with the style or the colors in that piece of clothing. So this sweater, I love the colors. I love this blue. I love the muted tones in this. It's really pretty. And I love sweaters around the winter time. And so this one's probably been one of my hardest to let go recently. But it has this, I guess you'd call it a cowl neck. It gathers at the front here, and just every time I put it on, I don't have a very large head. I have a small head, and for whatever reason, the way that this big chunky sweater with the gathers around the neck just made me look, I felt like it made my head look smaller and it accentuated the wrong areas, and I just didn't think it looked very flattering on me. So I let it go. In the same idea with the color and the style of something, this dress I thought looked nice on me. Like I thought it looked really good. It fit me perfectly. It draped nicely. It's really cute. But I am not a fan of the color. This is not a color that I can pull off very easily. And so I let this dress go. So then I've got this dress as well. It's like a little t-shirt dress. This was an example of a color that I don't hate. I don't love orange, but I don't mind the blue. The color wasn't what sold me on getting rid of it. It was the style. And I was given several of these t-shirt dresses, and I like belting them. And they also worked well during pregnancy. They work well when I'm not pregnant. They're very multi-purpose and very practical, very comfortable. However, I just don't care for a t-shirt dress style. Like, that's just not something that I tend to wear. And so it did not make sense to hold on to it. So as far as figuring out your body type, just determining what your body type is, and then doing some research and figuring out what works well. Like if you have a longer torso and need to shorten, if you have shorter legs and need to lengthen, just understanding that will really help in dressing in a way that is flattering and is going to really accentuate the parts of you that you are really proud of. It doesn't mean that you're being ashamed of who you are. It's using the body that God gave you and dressing in a way that best complements it. Kind of the same way that I view makeup. I wear it not to cover up who I am, but I wear it to hopefully bring more beauty to the features that God gave me. So looking at it from that perspective is really helpful as well. And I've got a few more pieces that I want to get through with you guys before we wrap up this video. This one kind of goes along with the does it fit your lifestyle reason. I loved how I looked in this jacket. It fit me like a glove. But I already had several other sort of business type jackets, and I think they look really cute with a denim skirt, like a short denim skirt, or a pair of jeans. However, I rarely wear these types of jackets. They're just not practical for mom life, and I don't tend to wear them at church. And so I have one that's still hanging up, which is actually up for consideration. I might be getting rid of that one as well. It's the one I saved instead of this one. But just knowing what you think you will wear, what styles suit you, what styles are practical for your everyday life, and then just basing your decision on that. Okay, and then this last piece we're going to look at, these are some wide leg linen pants. I think the color's really nice. I felt like they're super wrinkled right now. I'm sorry, they've been folded up in storage, but really nice basic pants. But I more liked the idea of what these could be. I would look up inspiration and stuff for people who pulled off this look. And with my body type, for one thing, the wide leg all the way down just wasn't working for me. It was really hard to find the right tops to go with it. I wasn't able to find enough ways to wear it to be practical keeping it. And on top of that, it was a little bit big on me. So a lot of times you'll find that as you go through this list, you'll find a lot of overlap. And that really helps, because when you have this overlap, you realize, okay, there are several, there's not just one reason to get rid of this item, there are several, and that really is going to cement the fact that maybe you need to let this item go. Okay, so I've got Violet up from her nap. So again, just like the last video, if you hear little noises and such, that is Violet having fun with her toys, hopefully. She seems to be enjoying them. We're getting to the end of this video. We have walked through the purge process. So just to overview, 3 different categories of clothes. You've got category number 1, which are the items of clothes that you love. Category number 2, kind of that middle ground, you don't love them, you don't hate them. Category number 3 is the stuff that you're just really don't seem to like that much, you're not sure about. And the goal is to get those items into one of the remaining 2 categories. You want them to either end up in the pile of clothes that you really like and want to keep, or you want it to end up in the category of the clothes that you just don't care about that much and have reason to get rid of. Once you're there, then obviously the stuff that you love we don't need to look at anymore. You're keeping those. And the category you're left with is category number 3. Those are the clothes that you're probably going to end up getting rid of. But like I said, go through it, take your time, just try and assess whether or not you need to hold on to these items of clothes. Another little tip for you is to listen to your intuition. When you are looking into your closet and you have something that you just held on to and you don't really have a specific reason for hanging on to it, you're just not sure. Listen to your intuition. If you feel like you need to get rid of it, you're just not sure why, pull it out and look at the closet without this item of clothing. If you feel better, that's an immediate answer to your question as to whether or not you should get rid of it. If it feels better without the item of clothing in the closet, take it out. So now that you've put your clothes into these different categories, we are left with the stuff that you potentially are going to be getting rid of. And hopefully you've walked through all the different reasons that maybe give you good cause to pass them along, but you're probably going to be left with some that you're still not sure about. One of 2 things that you could do. One is an idea that I've seen around quite a bit, and that is to set the item aside, put it in a box in a closet where you won't see it, and see if you forget about it. If you don't miss it, the idea is that you don't need it. This could work, and maybe it worked for you. I personally don't care for this method as much because I can forget about an item of clothing and use the stuff that I have and still find maybe something that I would utilize were it in my wardrobe. So if this is a method that you prefer, go for it. The second option is something that I came up with that I think works a lot better, at least for me. And that is, I want you to take that piece of clothing that you're not sure about and wear it for a whole day. This way, you're not setting it aside, you're not flipping your hangers to wait for a year and see if you pull that item out. It's more of an immediate way to find out if you actually want that piece of clothing. First of all, if you're like, I don't really want to wear it, I mean, that tells you a lot right there. Second, you're going to wear it for a whole day, and if you really find yourself either not comfortable in it, not liking it, not feeling confident in it, or wanting for any reason to take it off before the day is over, that is a very good sign that you should probably get rid of that item of clothing. You're probably not going to keep reaching for it on other days. And if you weren't sure about something, it immediately gives you an idea of, did I like it, or was I ready to just switch it out for something else? Okay, well, I think that is everything. I hope that this was an easy to understand guide for going through your clothes. It's such a fun process. You just kind of have to begin and you'll get the hang of it as you go along. Let me know in the comments, is this something that you have done a lot of? Are you the type of person who really likes to go through things and get rid of stuff? Or is this a new journey for you? Is this a new experience that you're really, dipping your feet into? What are some things that you look at when you are trying to figure out what you should hold on to and what you should get rid of? Thank you so much for sticking around for this video. And if you enjoyed this content, give this video a thumbs up just so that I know that this is the type of content that you would like to see more of, and subscribe if you'd like to get more videos. Hit the bell button to be notified anytime I post a new one. Thank you again for joining me. I've had a blast putting these 2 videos together, and I hope you enjoyed the journey as much as I did, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.